I forgot to address that I have a new mic on right now. Who is she? Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin. If you are new here, today we're talking about sensory bins and all the joys that come from it, because sometimes you need a break and you want your kid to have fun at the same time. I first learned about sensory bins and this kind of play from Melina Ciciotti, hopefully I'm saying that name right, on YouTube, and it was just really helpful. And when my son was like just born, I had learned about it and I was like, oh, that's really cool. I've never heard of this before. If you're familiar with the Montessori world, I feel like you see these a lot. I know I would see it on Pinterest and Instagram. And I have kind of created this system that works really well for me. And so I thought I would pass it along on here to see if it also works for you. So first, when do I use a sensory bin? A lot of times when I use sensory bins, it's if I'm trying to have an activity for the kids, I just don't really want to do the screen time. There is no judgment about screen time because as parents, I mean, some of us use it, not all of us. This one does. How I use sensory bins is I find them to be helpful to have a fun, playful activity to keep my kids entertained, but not necessarily have to rely on screens. There's no shame on screens. You're the parent of your children and you can decide what is best for you and your family. We do use screens. My kids watch TV. Don't want them to watch too much. And so it's just nice to have different options to be able to prevent using screens. So this is a really fun way of like open play, which is kind of the concept of Montessori, I believe. Don't quote me, I'm not a pro in that. From my understanding, I believe that Montessori is focused on having a lot of like open play. So just being able to have a thing to play with where you could come up with so many different ideas. Like it's not a toy that only has like one purpose and one purpose only. And so that's what I really like about the sensory bins. The kids can be creative. I find that I will set it up with kind of an objective, but then the kids end up using their creativity and using it in a different way, which is awesome and super cool. Let's figure out what are the steps that you could take if you wanted to start implementing sensory bins with your kids. Step number one, you need bins. These bins are actually from the very famous IKEA table that I'll pop here. I got this table when my son was little because I saw it and I just thought it was really cool and I knew that I wanted to use sensory bins. The table now that I've had a second child is stored in the basement at the moment. Given that we have another child, we have some other toys. We also invested in a Nugget, which we love. Cannot recommend. 10 out of 10 on the Nugget. Since we've added some of those things, there's just no room for the table at the moment. So I kept it because I do want us to, hopefully at our next place, have a space we'll be able to use it because I do really love it. But for now, what I'm using are just the bins. I have all 4 of these bins in their closet. So this is kind of like the sensory bin hub, if you will. Okay, so first things first, you're going to need a bin. I typically use 2 bins. You don't have to use 2 bins. You can definitely just use one. But sometimes I set up an activity where I have one thing here and then I have a kind of a different thing that goes along with it here. Or if you also have multiples, I have 2 kids, so I'll set one bin up for one kid, one bin up for the other. These bins, I'm not trying to sell you on anything, not even the IKEA table. You can use whatever bin that you want. You can go to the Dollar Tree and get bins that literally look like this and use those. Like, we can be on a budget and still help our kids have a great time. The next thing that you're gonna need for a sensory bin is gonna be in this tub, and that is your filler. So I typically will start with some sort of filler. So with the fillers, this is kind of like your base. Think of your base to the bin. So for example, I have these like little rock things that I feel like you use in like aquariums and I don't know, maybe plant stuff. I'm not quite sure. I have these little round rocks that we use. We actually use these, I feel like, the most. I have kinetic sand in one of these. We use the kinetic sand to just play as is, but it's also really great for sensory bins. I have some more. This is rocks and some of those beads. A lot of times I'll put this in one bin and this in the other, and we do like an ocean themed. So we'll kind of have like water themed animals and then sand in the other. And then I also have a bag of black beans. Let's talk about food. When it comes to using food in play, I don't like to waste food. I know sometimes when I've gone on Pinterest, I'll see a sensory bin that has like cooked pasta and then you can color it to make it different colors and use that. I think that's cool. And if that's your thing, that's totally great. I just personally feel like a little bit of conviction wasting food in play just because food is not easily accessible to everyone, and I just don't want to promote this thing, even to my kids, that we can use this edible food and just like play with it and then just pitch it like it's no big deal. That's just my personal conviction. You do whatever you want. But what I do is these are dried black beans that I literally got at Dollar Tree. And we have had these now for probably 3 years, I would say. So I reuse these over and over and over and over again. I haven't bought any more beans. It's just been this bag, or I might have actually gotten like 2 small bags at Dollar Tree, but we use these over and over and over again. So I'm not cooking them or anything like that. It's just this one-time purchase that we've used for years now. I also normally have a bag of oatmeal, but I think that might be in the closet right now. But that's another food item. I just leave it uncooked, and we've used the same tub again that I got from the Dollar Tree for years now. So this is your base. These are your fillers. I typically use these as like the bottom of the tub. Next are some of your items that you can use in the bin. The items of play. I don't know. Listen, I'm making this up as I go. I know that I have a system that works. I don't know the technical terms, but these are things that are just kind of like random objects that you can use. So right now we've been using these heart stickers that I got at Hobby Lobby for Valentine's Day. I have these pumpkins that I got at the Dollar Tree, I think 2 years ago. So I have a bunch of different types of pumpkins there. I have snowballs that we use for the winter time, or I mean, I'm calling them snowballs. That's what I typically use them for in the bin, but you could use them for other different themes, if you will. I have these cute little Christmas trees that I also got at the Dollar Tree. I have these little, there's sticker snowflakes, but we just use them in the bin. I have these little like hay barrels that I've used in the fall to create a little landscape, if you will. So just to give an example of a current one that we're doing, I have these colorful hearts. So there's pink and red and purple. And then I also got these bins at Hobby Lobby. And so I was putting them in the bin, having these all separated. And then I had a little sticker to label which color to do. So like picking out the pink ones and putting the pink ones in that one, the red. Again, this is something that my 5-year-old could successfully do. He could do that bin, no problem. My 2-year-old may not do it. My 2-year-old just might scoop stuff in because it's fun for her and it's creative for her. Like the other day, I actually did set this one up, and we used oatmeal as the base with the hearts, and then I had these in, and she was making little pies, and so that was her play. But she was doing it for like 45 minutes. So these bins can be educational, or they can also just be for fun and for play, to give you a minute. Sometimes as moms just like, we need a minute. So speaking of the different items that you use, there's also typically cups that I use. Oh, that, a little bit of oatmeal powder left in there. You can use a bunch of different cups. Again, I just got these at Hobby Lobby for Valentine's Day. These tins I've had for a couple years now. Just got these at the Dollar Tree. Might I just say, most of these items, 90% of these items have come from the Dollar Tree. So this is another thing. This is budget friendly for anybody. You don't need to spend, you know, $100 to start the system up. You could spend $15 and have multiple different bin fillers and items. But then that leads me to your next object, which is typically a scooper or some kind of tool to play with the items. So I just have this in a little bag. It's not as cute as the bins. Kirkland, not a sponsor. I have these different tools. Again, all of these, all of these have come from Dollar Tree. So I have this little mesh strainer, which is fun if you're feeling a little adventurous and you do a water-based one. I don't recommend doing it inside, but you know, when it warms up, go for it. I have measuring cup sets that I got. So we have, you know, tablespoons and stuff, teaspoons, and then measuring cups. I have little tongs for the kids for them to use, which is great for fine motor skill, I think. I'm not a professional. And then I actually just got these a couple months ago, which have been really fun, but these just really large scoop. And then I also have 2 of these little droppers. Again, this is for more liquid, but this is always really fun, especially if you start to use some color and stuff with liquid. Pretty much every time I will use some sort of vessel here, some sort of tool for the kids to play with the bins. It is really fun for them to actually have a thing to be pouring it, scooping it, grabbing it, straining it. So that could be another thing to add to your system. Getting messy. All right, so then this last bin here, this is a little bit of a blend of arts and crafts, craft materials, but also sensory bin. In here is where I keep, that doesn't go there. In here I have like felt. I have these foam pads that I do use a lot. I'll cut out little shapes. One time I did just make a pie activity, and so the kids made their own little pies, and then I cut out in foam these little grids to be the pie crust to put on top just to make it look cute. I have a bag of these clips that sometimes I'll use to clip things on. Sometimes if I'm doing like match the letter, match the color, I'll write it on and I'll clip it like that. I have these pipe cleaners. There's like the regular ones and then there's the really fuzzy ones. So sometimes we'll use those for sensory bins. Not as much. I feel like that's more craft, but you never know. I have popsicle sticks. We do use these a lot, especially for like letter matching and things like that. And then I have these like paper towel rolls. We just save them. This is more again for like crafts, but sometimes I have used them as like tunnels. One time I did a bin that was like a construction site. And so we use these as like pipes and tunnels for the cars to go through. So it's just a bunch of random items that we use, but I just keep them all in these bins and we just continue to cycle through them and use them for play. All right, so how to set up a sensory bin. Let's just do one really quick so you can see. So I'm going to take my bins. We are close to Valentine's Day, as you can see by this lovely sticker decor on the wall. So I'm going to do this Valentine's Day theme that I was talking to you guys about. So I'm going to actually use the black beans because I think it'll look fun with the color. So I'm going to make one for both kids. I'm gonna do, hi. I'm making you a bin. All right, so I'm gonna put in my base, and then because I have two kids that are gonna be playing this, I'm gonna do 2 hearts. Then I'm gonna take some of these, and we're gonna do a color match again. So I'm gonna do a red and a purple. So since these are actually stickers, I might just stick this on like that to let them know which color we're looking for. Okay, so I have a pink and a red. I'm gonna put those there. Then I'm gonna take some of these. I don't really need to use all of them. For my son, I think what I'm gonna do is actually bury them. It'll add a fun layer for him because this is kind of an easy educational one for him, but it would be fun to kind of have them buried. So my daughter is just loving playing with the beans right now. So I'm just going to put some of the hearts in her containers and then let her do her thing. Okay, now that I have my base and I have our play items here, I'm going to also grab our tool and scooper because these black beans are so fun. You want to use a scoop? Can you put one in for Nico? Thank you. We're going to use the scooper because I think that'll be a fun one to use for the beans. Don't mind the scooping and the play that I have going on in the background here. All in all though, that is the system that I've kind of implemented to do sensory bins. I have found that it's brought a lot of joy in our household. It's really nice to sometimes even just do the dishes and feel uninterrupted while my kids are playing with this thing. I also like that it's this Montessori approach, but it's also not super expensive. I do feel like sometimes there's these Montessori toys that come out, but it's not affordable. And so I hope that no matter what your budget is, no matter where your family's at, that this can be a resource that's helpful for you and that your kids find a lot of joy out of it. Now, will it get messy? Yes, it will. As I'm talking to you right now, there's beans dropping on the floor. But what I do, I just scoop them back up and put them back in the bag and reuse them. I would rather deal with a little bit of mess and be able to do a task uninterrupted to be able to do a task while my kids are safely playing with something. So anyway, I hope that this video was helpful to you. I hope that you can also think of really cool, creative ways to do these bins. There is truly no right or wrong, and your kid, you know your kid best than anybody else, and you know what they're going to find fun and what is going to entertain them. The system that I have set up works really well for my kids, and I'm sure that you can find something too that's going to work really well for yours. Thank you so much guys for tuning in, and I will see you next Tuesday. Bye.